opinion, Putin's former admirers are thinking twice. Editors note Frida Gittich, a former CNN producer and correspondent, is a world affairs columnist. She is a weekly opinion contributor to CNN, a contributing columnist to the Washington Post, and a columnist for World Politics Review. The views expressed in this commentary are her own view, more opinion on CNN. Russian President Vladimir Putin's so far disastrous invasion of Ukraine is turning the former idol of the far right into a toxic figure among many who used to be his greatest admirers. For years, as Western democracies became more polarized, the extreme right started to see the Russian strongman as a role model. After all, Putin claimed to be motivated by a passion for safeguarding ultra-conservative values, even as he trained much of his renown against the United States. But now, Putin's brutal onslaught of a neighboring country has exposed a side of the Russian dictator that many had managed to ignore until now. The daily images of bombed out schools, hospitals, playgrounds, and apartment buildings, and the determined, so far largely successful pushback by Ukraine has prompted many, though not all, former fans to reconsider their admiration. Leaders of the extreme right, seeing the transformation in popular opinion, have pivoted sharply after championing a Russian leader who was already dictatorial and ruthless. They now seek to benefit from the economic havoc triggered by Putin's war, while distancing themselves from a man who is now seen not only as a moral pariah by many of their followers, but also as a catastrophically ineffective leader. Those lured by the reframed rhetoric should be warned. In many cases, extremists are just changing wardrobe. The known in Putin was all along a toxic figure. Across the West, Putin has now become one of the world's most despised figures. A poll survey of 18 countries found positive reviews of the Russian leader at an incredible 10% or less. At the United Nations, Putin is more isolated every day. The UN General Assembly Wednesday voted to reject his annexation of Ukrainian territory by a margin of 143 to 5, with certified abstentions. That's an even greater margin than previous UN resolutions. Condemning Russia's action also overwhelmingly approved. When Italians went to the polls last month, the candidates of the far right were quick to distance themselves from their former hero. Giorgia Meloni, leader of the post-fascist Brothers of Italy and now slated to become Prime Minister, dispensed with her formerly warm words toward Putin and vowed to continue sending weapons to help Ukraine. Likewise, Matteo Salvini, who once called Putin the best statesman on earth and used to sport a shirt with Putin's face on it, now insists he supports Ukraine. The source of their reconsideration may be found in a separate poll that revealed favorable opinions of Putin and Russia among far-right members have collapsed since Russia invaded Ukraine. Among Salvini's Laga Baker's confidence in Putin to do the right thing regarding world affairs collapsed from 62% last year to 10% now. Balancing act. Across Europe, supporters of far-right parties are turning their back not only on Putin but also on Russia. Their leaders are anxiously looking for ways to navigate the rapids. Consider French Marine Le Pen, whose warm encounters with Putin have come back to haunt her. The Putin we see today, she pleads, is not the one she met when she visited Moscow as a presidential candidate advocating stronger ties with Russia. Only a year ago, most supporters of her own national rally ON had a positive review of Russia. That number is just 21% now. Pro-Russia positions are no poisonous that the ON's acting president, Jordan Bardella, threatened to sue anyone who suggests there are financial ties between the party and Russia. Le Pen's presidential campaign was partly financed by a mysterious multi-million-dollar loan from Russia in 2014. Le Pen said French banks refused to give her a loan. Instead of focusing on the war, some far-right parties now hold demonstrations criticizing the high cost of living made worse by Western sanctions against Russia. On the surface, it's a populist position all about helping the people at home beneath the slogans. However, there's a message that helps Putin by attacking economic sanctions and raising pressure on politicians to ease up on support for Ukraine. That's the case in Germany, where some in the far-right Alternative for Germany party have openly expressed support for Russia, but the leadership has tried to tone it down while mobilizing opposition to balance policies on the grounds that it creates hardship for Germans across the Atlantic. It's a balancing act that's being tried in the US, sometimes with surprising results. A couple of weeks ago, CPAC, the Conservative Political Action Group, tweeted a cringe-worthy message that framed the conflict among Putin's preferred lines, calling on Democrats to end the gift giving to Ukraine and focus on the US. The group soon deleted the post, apologetically with claims that it didn't go through proper vetting. But it's no secret that the far right in the United States has been as enthralled with Putin as its Western European friends. At the far right America First Political Action Conference, AFPAC, in February, days after Russia started bombing Ukraine, AFPAC founder and terrorist white nationalist Nick Fuentes below, can we get a round of applause for Russia? At the same time, at the CPAC conference, former President Donald Trump, long a Putin admirer, was already under fire as Putin inched toward war, declaring portions of Ukraine independent. Trump sided with Putin, calling his approach to Ukraine generous, explaining he's a guy who's very savvy. I know him very well. Trump held his ground, repeating his praise of the Russian dictator and claiming Putin is playing Biden like a drum. And it's not pretty to watch. Trump hasn't been praising Putin as much lately, more often using the war to praise himself. Over the months, Putin's genius and savvy have come under question as the invasion has not only faltered but has caused him to lose support in unexpected places. Even the leaders of former Soviet republics, including autocratic ones Putin protected in the past, are letting him down. Only one, the Belarusian dictator Alexander Lukashenko, has stood with the Kremlin. In the US, where 73% of the people want continued support for Ukraine even after Putin threatened to use nuclear weapons, a few prominent far-right figures still defend him. For news, Tucker Carlson is such a useful voice for Putin propaganda that clips for his nightly show are a mainstay in Russian state-controlled television. The spectacle caused a horse at an even more right-wing network Newsmax to lambast him. Eric Bolling referred to Carlson as an alleged American for defending our archenemy Russia and the sociopath Putin. Openly supporting Putin has turned out to be a more complicated strategy than the far-right expected. In fact, their history of backing a man whose tyrannical leanings were visible long ago remains cautionary evidence of the core ideology of many of Putin's former and current supporters.